I thought it'd be cool to do a collab sharing a little bit more about what your experience is like starting law school during COVID, because you mentioned it a bit during the panel. And I was like, literally everybody I deal with who's studying for the LSAT is going to be facing that situation. And of course, who knows what things are going to be like in a year. And so just hypothetically, what are the differences? We already have a good understanding of generally how law school is normally, but since you're starting during this unique time as a 1L, which folks are going to be facing, I thought it'd be cool if you could share more about your experience in that, if you're willing.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's hard, especially because I'm not like a 2L or a 3L. I have nothing to compare it to. And I think, honestly, that ignorance is kind of a good thing at this point because I have no prior experience. So it's made it not that bad because this is how I'm going into law school. This is all I've known. I am worried for when we transition back into in-person classes, how I'm going to deal with that. Like maybe having my first in-person cold call as a 2L, that's just going to be a weird experience. So yeah, I think it's kind of interesting because I have nothing to compare it to. So it hasn't been horrible in that sense. I do feel really bad for the upperclassmen who have had to completely make that transition because that would be really hard.
Yeah, I'll bet. So you mentioned cold calling, which I know is like a topic that a lot of folks are concerned about. And I'm imagining it is maybe different over Zoom school law. Like, do people like my internet's suddenly shaky or like suddenly the connection goes out or something? What do people do? Do professors even do cold calls over Zoom?
Yes. So all of my professors still do cold calls. I haven't been cold called that much, and my classes are like decently small. I think some of the professors, like some of them obviously go off a list. You can tell they're just going down the names, but some of them I feel like they just call on the people who they can see on the screen. And it's like always like the same 7 people. So in my contracts class, it feels like the same like 8 people are getting called on all the time. And I must be at the back and the professor can't see me. So I'm like, this is kind of nice. But yeah, they still cold call. Some people do try to like, oh, sorry, like my roommates are making a lot of noise. My internet's really bad. But the professors are, I would say they're probably, because I don't have anything to compare it to, maybe a little more lenient because of these weird circumstances. But yes, cold calls are still happening.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's good. Well, that's funny. What about like extracurriculars? Like, are those happening? Are they online? What's that like?
Yeah, so it's really weird. I think after the first week, they had our activities fair. And our activities fair was all virtual. And it was probably like top 5 most awkward experiences in my life because they sent out an email and it was the Zoom links for all the student organizations. And it was going on for like an hour. So what you would do is you'd click on the link of the organization you were interested in and you'd sit there for like a weird amount of time. You'd get put on the email list and then you'd be like, okay, I'm leaving. You'd awkwardly leave the Zoom and then you just go join another one and be in the middle of a meeting, basically. So it was really awkward, but I honestly don't know how else they would do it. So they're doing a good job. The student organizations that I am a part of, they're really trying to be there for the 1Ls. Like I'm in Women's Law Caucus and they're like, here's a 2L, like mentor, so you guys can like connect via Zoom. So they're doing the best that they can, but it feels a little unnatural, a little awkward for sure.
Yeah, I'll bet. So, I mean, what's a typical day in your life like? Is it just basically, are you like home a lot? Do you go anywhere to study? Do you have classes throughout?
Yeah. So on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, I have all my doctrinals. So I have contracts, property, and torts. And it's kind of spaced out weirdly. I didn't think I was going to like it at first because I have a 3-hour break in between contracts and property and a 2-hour break between property and torts. So I'm usually the kind of person like in undergrad, I scheduled all my classes back to back. I just like getting it done. But since I don't have to go anywhere, I realize that it's really not that bad. I just kind of devote my time in between classes to doing work. And I feel like it's a lot more productive for me. And then at the end of the day, after my last class, I can just kind of say, okay, I spent the whole day working, so now I can take some time off. So I really do treat it like a 9 to 5. I only study at home, which is rough, but WashU recently reopened their library for student access. So I might be making use of that in the near future, hopefully, because I need to get out of my house. But yeah, excited that they're slowly starting to open things up. They're being very cautious. They've been very open. Like if we see the numbers in St. Louis going up, we're going to shut it back down again. So it does feel nice that things are slowly starting to appear a little bit not normal, but maybe we can see normal in the distant horizon, possibly.
Well, it's awesome. They're actually going to give you a space to go. I mean, they have this library, and assuming that demand is not too high, they could even keep people spaced out or build like private study corrals, little areas, which the kind of libraries already have anyway, just for quiet. So I could see that being good. Have they said anything about spring semester, or is it definitely at home online?
They haven't said anything about spring semester. And I kind of had a little bit of beef with how they handled fall semester. I got my schedule like a week before classes started. They were holding out that we were going to be in person until the last possible second. And I don't blame them. I mean, from a selfish standpoint, I wanted to know, but I understand from an administrative standpoint that they were scrambling. Like they wanted to prevent deferrals. They wanted to have it in person if it was all possible. But, you know, it's a changing situation. It changes every day. So I kind of get that. But with spring semester, they haven't told us anything. For me, since I live in St. Louis, it's really not an issue, but I have heard like classmates concerned, like, should I sign a lease? Because they didn't move this fall. So they're like, should I move for spring and sign a lease? Like that's a big commitment. But they have said that even if they're in person, like you will be able to exercise the virtual option all year if you'd like. But we have no idea what the spring semester is going to look like at this point.
Yeah, I mean, really, nobody knows anything, right? It's also up in the air. Yeah. What advice would you give for folks who are applying to law school this fall, looking ahead towards 1 year from now? Like, are you happy you started even under these circumstances? Are you feeling good about it?
Yeah, at first, and I was kind of thinking about this in the collab that we did on Nicole's channel. She asked me if I would have deferred. And I initially said if I wasn't straight through, I probably would have. And I think somebody in that collab raised the point of like, what else would you be doing right now? And that kind of really, yeah, that really stuck with me. And I was thinking that is a really good point. And that kind of changed my whole outlook on it. I'm really happy I started right now. Especially I think 1L, the only thing I feel like I'm really missing out on is being able to form like genuine friendships. It's just hard to make friends when you're all virtual. It's way harder than, it's not as organic, you know? I feel like I'm missing out on that. But other than that, like 1L, you're in the books, like you're studying, you're reading all the time. Like I wouldn't be going out and doing anything anyways. So I might as well just get through the hardest year of law school while I would be sitting at home doing nothing anyways. Yeah.
Fair enough. It's a situation a lot of folks are in. And hopefully 3 years from now, things are a lot different.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool connecting with you, Madison. Do you want to share a little more about your channel for folks who are interested in finding out more about what your life is like?
Of course. So my channel is Madison Rector. I post twice a week pending. I mean, I've been trying to be very consistent, but as the semester ramps up, it gets more difficult. I'm spending like 90% of my time outlining and reading. So trying to be consistent. I post vlogs so you can see like what I do day to day. I try to go a little more in depth about like assignments, like what I'm learning to give people insight on what it's actually like as a law student. Also diving into true crime videos in the future with like a legal twist, trying to go into like legal analysis of popular true crime cases. So that's what my channel is. You should totally check it out.
Nice. That sounds like a lot of fun. I'll definitely be tuning in for the true crime stuff, especially.
Oh, thank you. I really appreciate it, Steve.
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank you, Madison, for connecting and sharing your experience with everybody. Let's do a follow-up sometime.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.